All right, we're live. So, welcome back to Dapp University. So, today we're going to talk about a lot of different things. The number one thing that I'm super excited to talk about today is what's going on with Ethereum because the price of Ether has gone up quite a bit. It's held strong during a lot of this kind of downturn we've seen in the markets. And I want to talk about a potential scenario that's in play for the long term. This is something that we've talked about on this channel a lot. I get this question in the FAQs a lot is can, Ethereum actually overtake Bitcoin at some point and become the number one cryptocurrency by market cap, like on the leaderboard that you see here on a website like CoinGecko.com. So we're going to talk about that and why, if you're thinking that can never happen, that's kind of a dangerous assumption. Maybe you're a Bitcoin holder. This is something that you have to think about, especially if you're new around here. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So that's what you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step by step, start to finish, head over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So also one quick last disclaimer. I'm going to say this at the beginning of the live stream, and then I'll try to say it 100 times in the video. As always, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. I'm trying to come at this from an educational perspective and like analyzing the markets and see what's going on. Somebody commented in one of the live streams yesterday, or maybe it was a video. They were like, dude, don't say, not financial advice like 1,000 times. Like nobody's going to sue you. Well, part of it, I've been in the crypto space for a long time. I've seen a lot of really shady stuff go down where people like try to manipulate others on camera, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I've tried to be very cautious. Also, I realize that people hang on to every word that somebody says online. A lot of people make decisions based on that stuff. So that's when I try to do it. So anyways, I'll leave the disclaimer at the beginning of the video, not financial advice, but let's go ahead and get started. So anyways, let's talk about this possibility of Ether flipping Bitcoin. So the reason I want to talk about this is it's kind of a timely topic because Ether's holding really strong, and dominance for Bitcoin is actually declining and is pretty low. All right. So what does that mean? What is Bitcoin dominance? Essentially, this means Bitcoin's share of the entire cryptocurrency market. So if you go back to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, whatever website you'd like to look at for cryptos, you'll see some of these metrics at the top. You'll see the total market cap, which means all the cryptocurrency that's listed on this website. How much is it worth? Well, it's $2.1 trillion. That's huge. It was a major milestone for crypto whenever we hit $1 trillion. I think within the last 6 months, people were skeptical that would even happen in the first place. And now it's past $2 trillion. So Bitcoin dominance is now 48% based on their metric. I see some discrepancy here. It says 50% here, but 48% here. Ether's at 14%. Okay. So basically that means of this entire $2 trillion market, Bitcoin's worth about 48% of that, or about half. Okay, so it's been a lot higher than that historically in the past, as you can see on the dominance index here. It's been as much as 72% of the entire cryptocurrency market back in January. If you zoom out on a much more historical timeline, we see even more or less at certain periods. Like during the 2017 run, it fluctuated quite a bit as well. So anyways, you can look at, and this is kind of like something you can keep watch on over time. So another thing is, you see other cryptocurrencies starting to climb in price as Bitcoin's been falling here. Okay, you see the same type of thing happening with ETH. ETH had just hit a new all-time high. Okay, so we go here and check on that on the ETH chart. This is actually ETH to BTC ratio. Let's just look at the price itself. So ETH hit a new all-time high. The past 24 hours was just like literally recently. So we're getting close to $2,600. That'd be awesome. So we're talking about that happening while the Bitcoin price is going down. That's you can track that with the Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio or ETH to BTC ratio. And this is now reaching a new level since 2018, I believe. Let's see if I can get on the chart here. The 5-year high. So this is a new high since 2018, the end of the last bull run. Okay. So this is an important thing to keep track of when you're talking about how is ETH performing relative to Bitcoin, the overall market. And basically the whole idea here is if at some point, if ETH were to flip Bitcoin, then this ratio would go up to, I forget what the number is. We can look it up here in a second. But let's talk about how and why this could potentially happen. So First and foremost, I'll give you full disclosure about where I'm coming from with this. You know, if you're brand new to this channel, I'm a blockchain developer, so I'm not a big trader, not a big, I don't try to like predict too much what's going to happen with the markets long term. But there are lots of assumptions with cryptocurrency markets and how they work, and sometimes those assumptions are just dead wrong. So I like try to analyze those. I like to think analytically. But so that's where I'm coming from. You know, I do hold cryptocurrency long term. I've held for a long time. I hold mostly Ether, so that you could say, hey, I'm biased with this perspective. But that's where I'm coming from. I do hold Bitcoin too. I don't think there's anything wrong with Bitcoin. But there is a dangerous assumption that Bitcoin is going to be the one store of value that we're just going to hold on to forever, and that's going to be the number one cryptocurrency until the sun burns out or something like that. So that's a really dangerous assumption. Number one, Bitcoin hasn't actually had this narrative of, it's the institutional grade store of value for. It hasn't even really had that narrative for a year. Okay, so that's relatively new. This phenomenon of institutions buying cryptocurrency and stockpiling, billions of dollars crypto, that's a really new development, and that could leave just as fast as it was adopted, if not faster. Okay. So what are some potential reasons that ETH could flip Bitcoin? Well, you can do more with it, okay? ETH, there's nothing to say that ETH can't be as useful as a store of value, if not better store of value than Bitcoin for lots of reasons. We've seen this on the channel multiple times. Saw Mark Cuban talking about this in his interview with the Defiant, how he actually, I don't want to misquote him, so go check that out, but he said something to the effect of, it's a better store of value than Bitcoin. So go check that out. Fact check me on that for sure. But let's talk about some really concrete reasons why that's potentially the case. So I saw some tweets come out yesterday that I thought were pretty good. Let me just pull it up here. So some of the reasons that it could happen, like I said, one, you could just do more with it. So if you can take ETH and like Bitcoin, all you can do is hold Bitcoin, send it around, just watch it go up in price or down in price, right? Even you can send it, you can pay with it for things, but as far as store of value goes, you just hold on to it. Send it around. You can't stake it natively on the Bitcoin network. You can't use it natively on the Bitcoin network for DeFi. It's not a reserve asset for a DeFi. There's no deflationary economics to it like are potentially going to happen with ETH. And so I want to kind of explore this tweet thread here that I saw floating around yesterday that got quite a bit of engagement. So we'll kind of highlight this. So this is talking about a pretty big bull case for ETH and what's likely to happen based on some of the upcoming things on the roadmap. This is another reason why ETH could be a bigger cryptocurrency than Bitcoin over time. So basically, if 1559 and the merge were active today, there would have been 839 new ETH issued and 15,120 ETH burnt. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, I haven't really fact checked the numbers here. So, do your own diligence for sure to do the math and see if these numbers are actually right. But basically, we're talking about the EIP 1559 network upgrade where we start actually changing the economics of ETH where it can become deflationary based on peak transaction times. Basically, what he's saying is the amount of ETH burnt in transactions would greatly exceed the amount of new ETH issued by the blockchain if staking were live. Basically, it's the validators. So when we move to ETH 2.0, we'll have validators instead of miners, and then the validators will receive 6,480 ETH in transaction fees, which when annualized works out to 69% APR for staking. So, I mean, that's another reason that ETH could become a very attractive asset is. Okay, you could take your Bitcoin, maybe you could go loan it out on BlockFi, or maybe you could bridge it over to DeFi and earn really modest rewards. I mean, the rewards for Bitcoin, like Rack Bitcoin, are dropping quite a bit in DeFi. But something with ETH, if you can natively stake it on the network and earn something like 69%, that'd be crazy. Now, that's going to go down the more people realize the opportunity, for sure. But, yeah, this is absolutely crazy. Okay, I saw this. This is a pretty good meme here. You got this face melting. It's like a chocolate Easter bunny, and then somebody's a hairdryer sitting there talking about all the improvements coming up for ETH down the road. So EIP 1559, the merge, is going to melt faces. So the whole idea is these are value propositions that make ETH an attractive asset to hold. I also saw this come out yesterday. Let's just see here. I've actually tweeted it out on my feed here. ETH is also becoming more of a household name, and people are kind of dipping their toes into it. They kind of see what's happening with Bitcoin. I think people get this, especially institutional grade investors. or people who at least kind of smart money, so to speak, kind of see if you're looking at Bitcoin. It's gone up so much. Okay. And if everybody's eyeing like $100,000 Bitcoin, that's the word on the street that's like where the price is headed. It's not financial advice, but I mean, that's a lot of people think. Then it's got a long way to fall, but you might only make a 2x on that. Where if people have the meme number that's floating around, which is like $10,000 per ether, and it's like, oh, that's a 4x from here. You know what I mean? So I think people are starting to think about that type of thing, and it's a very large market cap cryptocurrency. So it's not going to drop quite as fast as like some altcoin that's like way down here on the list, right? So I think people are starting to see that kind of thing, and that's a factor in their thinking. And then they see all the innovations happening on the top of the Ethereum network that stood the test of time. So many really strong fundamentals for it. And so this is the tweet I wanted to mention here. So Ethereum may be the most important thing happening in crypto today. So comment from an institutional investor earlier today. Institutions waking up to crypto beyond BTC before our eyes. So that's another big reason is basically Ethereum becoming a more household name, capturing the attention of these institutional investors. And I think, honestly, the total addressable market for a world computer, global finance settlement platform, the total addressable market for that's way bigger than digital gold. You know what I mean? If that's the narrative BTC has going for it. So that being said, there's no guarantees that ETH is going to flip Bitcoin. I'm not making this video to tell you that ETH is going to flip Bitcoin. What I'm talking about is you have to think about these markets in terms of possibilities and assumptions. It's really dangerous to rest on assumptions that are formulated based on very limited history, okay? I mean, this market's still really, really immature on the grand scheme of things. The whole idea that the whole idea that Bitcoin is this superior institutional grade asset that's, the gold standard for a store of value, that's a really new narrative, okay? And that could leave as quickly as it was created. So you have to watch out for assumptions. I mean, I talk a lot on this channel about how I think Ethereum is the dominant smart contract platform and probably will be for the foreseeable future. Now, that could change one day, right? I'm the first to tell you that I'm very quick to change my mind in light of new, convincing information. So I don't personally just rest on assumptions and sit back and think that's going to always be the case. But I do watch what's happening and try to keep my opinions updated and relevant as things change. And I think things are changing a lot for ETH for the better, and how it could accrue a lot of value to it and cause this market share to really increase and potentially at some point overtake Bitcoin. I mean, it really could happen. That being said, it won't necessarily happen. So you can see here the ETH dominance is at 14%. So earlier when we were checking this, it was at 11% or 12%. And honestly, just a few months ago, we didn't even have ETH dominance charts listed at the top of websites like CoinGecko. All right. I can't remember. Maybe CoinMarketCap did it first. I can't remember who did it first, but for a while, all we had was the Bitcoin dominance metric. There was no ETH dominance metric. Okay. So people have been around crypto for a long time. They know what's up. They see what's happening in the Ether world. Taking it very seriously. So I realized I was not sharing my screen here, but this is what I mean by up here on the top. Here's the ETH dominance metric. Okay, this has not always been there. It's a relatively new feature. So another thing I saw yesterday from Raoul Pal. Sorry, let me. We talked about him a lot on this channel. Of course, he's had some very bullish predictions for ETH and other cryptocurrencies. He has a famous price prediction of $2,000 per ether, $20,000 per ether, which I kind of analyzed on my channel before. I like Raoul quite a bit. He's a really sharp guy. One of the reasons I started really following him was he really called the bottom of he called the start of this bull run, in my opinion, quite accurately, and kind of called where things were going. So I want to show you that right now. Anyways, he's got a really impressive background. Yeah, Goldman Sachs, he does real vision finance now. But more than the impressive titles, I really like his accuracy of how he's analyzed the markets and kind of called where things were going. So, like I said, he's got that famous $20,000 per Ether price prediction, but I want to look at this thread here. So, I retweeted this yesterday, so if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen this, but I want to go over it in today's stream. So, to be brutally honest, I stare at the chart of ETH BTC, so the one we're just talking about here, this one, and he says, I see an enormous rounded bottom with potentially huge breakouts just above. So he's talking about a little bit of TA on this chart here for the ETH BTC ratio over the many years, so from 2018 all the way up till now. And he says, when you price anything, so let me zoom in this so I can actually read it. When you price anything up in DeFi, NFT, community tokens, or even metaverse worlds, everything is basically priced in ETH, including designers, time, etc. ETH is rapidly becoming the currency of the digital world, and BTC is the pristine collateral and base layer. The ETH space is growing 100% year over year versus 50% year over year for Bitcoin, and he's got some charts here, and is attracting a mass proportion of the developer talent and applications too. So at this point in the risk cycle, and with ETH 2.0 coming, cheaper fees and less supply, I'm struggling not to sell all my Bitcoin to move my entire core position to ETH. That's crazy. That's crazy. So to be clear, I'm a massive BTC bull, but I think ETH is the better asset allocation for performance right now. Again, this is no attack on the store of value properties, etc. of Bitcoin, but over time, ETH has outperformed since inception, which is a non-deniable fact, and soon it will probably surpass its all-time high versus Bitcoin too. That's pretty serious, okay? Talking about, and this is a guy who I'm pretty sure I saw Raoul talk about how he has 90% of his net worth in crypto. I'm getting that right. But I mean, he lives in the Cayman Islands, you know, he's already wealthy. He's the CEO of a pretty big, business. 90% of his net worth in crypto, and talking about moving his entire core position of Bitcoin over into ETH. I don't think he said he's actually doing it, but he's talking about it looks really compelling. So that's crazy. And those are really great reasons why. Now I'm not saying, I don't think from that tweet that he's necessarily saying that ETH is going to flip Bitcoin. I'm not using that to support my argument necessarily. But what I am saying is that's really bullish sentiment for how ETH can perform from here. And he said from the beginning he thinks that ETH will outperform Bitcoin this market cycle. I have thought that ETH would outperform Bitcoin this market cycle from day one. That's why I hold most of my, that's why my largest position is ETH and has been from day one. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. So let's see here. Another thing I'm going to talk about, let me pull it up on my screen here. And yeah, I think that's the other thing you have to think about. I didn't really mention so much a minute ago. What are the other arguments for this? So, store of value, ETH can basically do what Bitcoin claims to do. Potentially better with the economics that are coming up down the road, with ETH potentially becoming a deflationary asset at peak periods and potentially over large important windows with EIP 1559 burn. As the fee problem gets way better with layer 2 scaling solutions, as we see more institutional adoption, we talk about Visa settling transactions on the Ethereum blockchain with Crypto.com, actually using the blockchain itself. I mean, I talk about this in plenty of videos on my channel, like the derivatives market. If we can capture, it's trillions of dollars, and if we can even capture a fraction of that value, that can alone send ETH up to much higher price levels. And compared to where Bitcoin is right now. So the other thing we talk about in this thread here is DeFi. That's part of DeFi. That's just one use case for DeFi. What if ETH really does become a global settlement layer for a brand new financial system? Is there any reason why that would not become the #1 market cap cryptocurrency? Like I said, the total addressable market for a world settlement layer of a brand new financial system is way bigger than the total addressable market for people who want to buy digital gold, all right, or gold, period. So, if we use it for that, if we use it for derivatives, we use it for payments, we use it for, if we tokenize all of our equities for DeFi at some point, if we ever get past the regulatory hurdles to doing that, if we settle real estate transactions on Ethereum blockchain, if we ever get past the regulatory hurdles to doing that, all this potential stuff you can do with it, it's absolutely crazy. Now we're super early for sure. And we'll need time to see if that plays out. So one other thing I saw yesterday, we talked about some bounties on here for developers. I know this is a little bit of a change of pace here, but I know we're kind of getting close to the end of our time today. Is another shout out announcement is Uniswap. So Uniswap's the most popular applications on Ethereum. It's a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange. So they have a bounty program with another. Let's see here. Another bounty. If y'all are looking for ways to do that. So let's see here. So we talked about the other day. We saw an announcement for a bug bounty program for Balancer Labs that was for $2 million. Okay, so I talked about it's probably not just gonna like become a beginner programmer and go find critical vulnerabilities, but this is something to think about, especially to get you like excited about becoming an advanced developer long term, or if you're an advanced developer already, it's a huge opportunity. Is these bug bounties in DeFi are huge. So we're talking about Uniswap here. Uni with its match passing for the Uni grants. The bug bounty for critical vulnerabilities in Uniswap version 3 is now at $1 million. So there's a $1 million pot sitting there if you're an advanced developer or are on the way to becoming an advanced developer to find critical vulnerabilities in something like Uniswap version 3. It's a huge and important app. They will gladly pay you $1 million if you can find something that saves them hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, you know what I mean? So it's like that's you have to understand the amount of money that's flowing through the entire space, and if you can just capture a little tiny amount of that value, then it's a huge deal, and that's a service that people will gladly pay you for because their entire application ecosystem token price is at stake. So I saw that floating around yesterday. I want to give that a shout out on the channel for all the developers who are watching, or to get you excited about development if that's something that you're thinking about doing. Again, we're probably not going to just fix all that and get $1 million tomorrow if you're a ranked beginner, but you might be a genius. I don't know. So we got some questions in the chat here. Let's see. Oh, somebody says look like ratio gang. So that's what I want to talk about. Is let's look at the actual ratio that ETH would need to be at, or that he would need to reach in order to flip Bitcoin, okay? So let's look at here. It would need to reach 0.08 in order to flip Bitcoin. So the ETH to BTC ratio literally just divides the prices. So we're literally talking about prices of the actual assets itself, and this will also change as the market caps change, all that kind of stuff. But it's a little bit of a moving target, but right now, basically, if ETH were to double in price, well, I'm sorry, I got the ratio wrong. This is the, so back up. This is where they think it should be. Right here is where the flipping would happen. Sorry. So really correcting myself, rewind the video. Right here's the flipping would happen, 0.16. So basically, that's what I was thinking. There's no way, right? If ETH has to more than, double to get to this point. So basically, if ETH were to get to $8,865 right now, it could flip Bitcoin. Okay, so if you pull that up on the chart here. If Bitcoin were to stay at $54,000 and ETH, it would have to more than triple, which is, it's unlikely that's just going to happen overnight, right? Especially for a very large market cap cryptocurrency like this. That's the thing you have to understand is, of course, we've seen cryptocurrencies like Binance Coin ascend the ranks really fast. We saw Cardano ascend the ranks really fast. Of course, we saw Dogecoin come out of nowhere. So, other things lately, Moon really, really fast, like Safe Moon, which did not end well, by the way. We saw Safe Moon absolutely tank. We can go look at that here in a minute. But the ETH doesn't move that way. I'm sure a lot of you watching this channel know that, but especially for beginners, yeah, it's not just about the price going up and down. It's about the market cap, and larger market cap cryptocurrencies have to take a lot more energy to move the price because there's so much of it in the first place. So that's the ratio that we would have to achieve in order to reach that. So, like I said, I do think this is possible. There's no guarantee of it happening. It's probably going to take a while. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year. I'm not leaving that off the table either. But yeah. Somebody says safe moon. Yeah, did not moon safely. So I saw this yesterday on the Twitter as well. I put it out there. So I laughed because it's like funny in one sense. It's not funny in another sense because a lot of people got absolutely wrecked on this. They lost a ton of money. So I do feel bad for those people because I think some people just don't know better. They get in and then they get absolutely destroyed on this type of stuff. But in other sense, it's still kind of funny. Partly because the cryptocurrency is called Safe Moon. It's like, this did not moon safely. All right, we can see this. It's just like, oh my gosh. Absolutely decimated. Absolutely wrecked. We can check on it, see how it's doing now. I talked about this on the live streams. I was like, you gotta be careful with Safe Moon because I don't think it's gonna end well, and it did not look like it did. Okay, so here you go. Yeah, it's still looking pretty brutal. So here you go. So we saw this pretty nasty correction, and then yeah, it's going out of nowhere. So again, more questions here. Yeah, Safe Moon wrecked, definitely. Some people are talking about presidential election in the chat. It's like it's way past presidential election from 2020. Somebody says thoughts on Ethereum Classic. Why has no one been talking about it, especially with the recent pump and climb and hash rate? So let's look at the price of Ethereum Classic. So if anybody wants to know what Ethereum Classic is, it's basically a fork of Ethereum. I've talked about this a lot on my channel. So a fork is basically when something branches off into two directions. So whenever talking about forks in software development, that basically just means whenever you decide to go one way, sometimes that actually results in a fork in the road where two new roads get built. Sometimes it just means one new road gets built and it branches off of the old road. But in the case of Ethereum Classic, it was a fork in the road where two new things emerge from one common origin. So that was basically whenever the DAO hack happened back in, I think it was 2016. I'm getting the year wrong here. That was a really early kind of experiment with Ethereum, with smart contracts, and there was a critical vulnerability where people lost a lot of money and they forked the chain. Ethereum Classic's what stayed behind and continued to maintain. And then the Ethereum that you use now is what forked from that and was actively developed and supported by the mainstream Ethereum community that you know and are a part of today. So somebody asked about this Ethereum Classic. What's the... Yeah, so you've definitely seen some increase in price here. Let's see, it's like a 14-day. So we saw a little bit of a run up. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, the whole market's kind of going up at this point. I would expect some of that value to accrue to pretty much everything. I think that's probably a good explanation of what's going here. There may be some news around this that I don't know. So yeah, I don't really know much, but that's the story behind Ethereum Classic. Somebody asked about it in the chat, so I bring it up. Some more questions here. So why is ETH not following BTC? Well, a lot of stuff's not following BTC right now. Bitcoin, is dropping. Is kind of bearish. Bitcoin dominance is going down. Lots of other coins are going up. Another thing to think about is you have to keep in mind that one potential scenario here. I think it's unlikely, but it's possible. Okay, it's possible. Which is basically maybe that the cryptocurrency market overall is losing steam. Okay, and you can see that indication by the Bitcoin price, and they're kind of seeing like a little bit of a last hurrah from some of these other coins. This happened in 2017, where we saw a top of the market. Bitcoin price broke down a lot faster than it is now, but Bitcoin price did break down, and everything else went crazy, and then the entire market like tanked. So that's a possibility to keep in mind. I'm not saying that's happening. It looks kind of unlikely. I think there's still room for this market to go higher for sure, but we'll see. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. If you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty. How can you get started today? Maybe you want to chase after one of those $1 million bug bounties at some point. You can go to my YouTube homepage, find my free courses there, like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. If you like those videos, you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I should become a blockchain master step-by-step from start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. All right. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.